viewers. This afternoon we'll be discussing what we call domestic violence. This program is Know Your Rights by Women Empowerment and Legal Aid. My name is Fumi Falana. I want to let us know that the act of domestic violence in Nigeria, and as a matter of fact, very many societies, have become so rampant of recent, and there is the need to educate the society on this. Now, what do we mean when we say domestic violence, an act of domestic violence? Yes, an act of domestic violence is any act of aggression or any aggressive act in a home setting. Yes, when I say in a home setting, that's in a domestic environment. Yes, it could be an act of domestic violence, could be an act of aggression between the husband and the wife, or between a father and a child or children, or between a domestic worker and the domestic servant and the master. Yes, whichever case this may be, it must be an act of aggression that occurs in a home setting. And so we say this is domestic violence. Well, this of course is also different from violence in the society. When we talk about violence in the society, we are talking about an act of aggression that occurs in the society. It could be among co-workers, it could be people on the streets, or it could be people in the society or the environment. But whichever case the thing may be, we are talking about an act that is aggressive and a violation of the rights of the other party. As a matter of fact, every act of aggression is an act that violates the right to dignity, which is a fundamental human right of an individual. It is also an act that violates provisions of VAP, that is the law that prohibits violence against all persons. Yes, this afternoon I want to define again what are the types of domestic violence you could have. Okay, there are about 4 categories of domestic violence. I am saying there are about 4 categories of acts of violence that can occur in the home. It could be a physical abuse, and this includes battering. The one that is very common is wife battering. That's when a man beats his wife, or batters stepchildren, or batter children in the home, or batter members of the family. Yes, beating, and this is physical abuse. Yes, it could also be sexual abuse. Well, sexual abuse could include rape, acts of rape, acts of incest, or sexual assault, or molestation. Or, of course, we could also have what we call psychological abuse, and this includes emotional abuse. And this is where we talk about nagging, abuse, violent words, ugly words that hurt the emotion or the psychology of the other side. And of course, the last one, an act of neglect or deprivation. That is where a child is neglected. It is the duty of the father, yes, to make provision for the child or the children of the family, as the case may be. So in a case where a father refuses to provide the necessities like food, shelter, clothing, education, and so on, the ones we call socioeconomic needs unto the children, we say the man is committing an act of domestic violence against the child or against the children. Or when the man deprives the woman of socioeconomic needs in the home, we say there is an act of domestic violence going on. All these are different categories of domestic violence that we could have. Yes, I also therefore want to let you know that in Lagos State, there is a law that has been enacted. As a matter of fact, this law was enacted in the year 2007. And this law is called the Law to Provide Protection Against Domestic Violence and Connected Purposes in Lagos State. But the beauty of this law is that You don't have to be a citizen of Lagos State. I'm saying you don't have to be an indigene of Lagos State before you can use this law. All you need to do is to be resident in Lagos State. Then number 2, you don't have to have contracted a legal marriage before you can come under this law. As long as you cohabit, that is, live together in the same home, you can come under this law and you can apply under this law. Oh, again, it does not matter whether your marriage was contracted outside Lagos State or in Lagos State. Whichever case it may be, all you need to do is to show that you reside together in a domestic setting. And what and how can you apply under this law? All you need to do again is to approach a lawyer. You can approach any human rights organization that will file your papers before the family court. And when a case is filed before the family court, there is usually the ex parte application that the lawyer will bring to the court and ask the court to stop this act by making preservation orders. And these preservation orders include removing the perpetrator of the violence from the house. And it will also mean giving certain orders and instructions. And upon the order of the magistrate, the man will be compelled to obey the orders. It could also include making certain orders to provide for the maintenance and the feeding allowance, monthly allowance unto the woman, unto the man, or unto the children. Well, I am saying that anybody can apply under this law. It's not only women that can apply. A man can also take the advantage of this law. A child can take the advantage of this law. A domestic worker can take advantage of this law. Anybody that resides with you in the home can take the advantage of this law, as long as you all live together under the same roof. And so when a preservation order is made, which may include payment of school fees, payment of feeding allowance, payment of medical allowance, payment of accommodation fee, or as the case may be, whatever the lawyer may request for as preservation orders. And so when these orders are made, it becomes important and mandatory for the litigant to come to court and explain his side of the story. And this is when the motion on notice is served on him or her. And so when the motion of notice is served on him or her, he comes or she comes before the court to say his own part of the story. And when the magistrate listens to the two of them, the magistrate is able to form an opinion. And why the court will want to see that the two parties are rehabilitated, because the intention of this law is not to dissolve the marriage, but to rehabilitate parties and extend and put into extinction, a permanent extinction, as the case may be, all acts of aggression in the home. So what the magistrate will do usually is to appoint a social worker that will continue to monitor this family for a period of time while they give an adjournment and they give a preservation order. And the hope is that after some time, the aggressive party will be rehabilitated. And upon the unlikely event that this other party, the aggressive party, is unable to be rehabilitated, the courts will give a permanent order, which may include that the man will continue to stay apart and they will continue to visit themselves upon supervision of a social worker, and certain amounts of money for maintenance and other things shall be given. In the event that there are children of the home, the court will also take the interest of the children of the home into consideration. As a matter of fact, the best interest of the children of the home will be the guiding principle in solving this matter. I therefore want to remind you, undergoing any act of domestic violence in your home, please do not keep quiet. There is a law that protects you in Lagos State, and this law is called the laws for the protection against domestic violence and all acts of all connected purposes. But remember that until you speak out, you may not receive help. So if you are undergoing acts of domestic violence, or you are being deprived access to your children, or you are deprived socioeconomic needs, please do not keep quiet, speak out. Are you consistently undergoing acts of battery or sexual abuse and you are afraid to speak out? Please, you can contact any non-governmental organization. It is the law that every citizen shall be protected against violence. It is the fundamental human right of every Nigerian to be protected against degrading and inhuman treatment, and as a matter of fact, against torture. Until next week again, when I will be coming your way to discuss your rights under the law, I want to remind you, please do not forget your right is your right. Please, when you're undergoing any acts of domestic violence in that home, do not keep quiet, speak out. The law is out there to protect you. Have a wonderful day, and I say God bless you.